The chill of a December evening clung to the air as Marcus Hayes guided his wife, Olivia, and their 6-year-old daughter, Ella, through the bustling Christmas Lights Festival. The smell of roasted chestnuts and cinnamon mingled with the laughter of families enjoying the festivities. Strings of multicolored lights twinkled like stars, casting a warm glow over the park. Ella skipped ahead, her red scarf trailing behind her as she pointed at a towering Christmas tree, adorned with glittering ornaments and a glowing star at the top. "Look, Daddy, it's so big," she exclaimed, her brown eyes wide with wonder. Marcus chuckled, his deep voice carrying a note of pride. "It is, sweetheart. Why don't we get closer so you can take a picture with it?" Olivia smiled, her gloved hand resting lightly on Marcus's arm. Her curls peeked out from under her wool hat, framing her face. "It's beautiful, isn't it? This feels like the perfect way to kick off the holiday season." The Hayes family was enjoying the kind of evening Marcus cherished, peaceful, filled with laughter, and devoid of the pressures he had faced in his years as a soldier. For once, he could relax and focus on the people who mattered most. As they strolled toward the tree, the festive atmosphere was disrupted by the unmistakable sound of raucous laughter and the revving of engines. Near one of the light displays stood a group of bikers, their leather jackets gleaming under the lights. Empty beer cans littered the ground around them. Marcus instinctively positioned himself slightly in front of Olivia and Ella, his sharp gaze assessing the situation. He hoped to avoid confrontation, but his instincts warned him to stay alert. One of the bikers, a burly man with a scruffy beard and a patch reading Dale, caught sight of the family. His laughter died down, replaced by a sneer. "Well, looky here," he drawled, his voice dripping with mockery. "What's a guy like you doing in a town like this?" Marcus maintained his composure, ignoring the comment and encouraging his family to keep walking. But Dale wasn't finished. "You lost, soldier boy." Another biker jeered, his companions joining in with boisterous laughter. Ella clutched Olivia's hand tightly, her earlier excitement replaced with unease. "Mommy, who are those men?" she whispered. Olivia knelt down, speaking softly but firmly. "Just some rude people, sweetheart. Don't worry, we're leaving." But as they turned to walk away, Dale stepped forward, his eyes locking onto Olivia. "You know, you're way too pretty to be with someone like him," he said, his tone laced with disdain. Marcus stopped in his tracks, his jaw tightened, and his hand instinctively moved toward Olivia's arm to guide her away. "Let's go," he said quietly, his voice steady but firm. Dale wasn't deterred. He reached out, his hand brushing Olivia's arm. "Don't be shy, sweetheart. We're just having some fun." That was the breaking point. Marcus turned, his voice a sharp command. "Take your hand off my wife." Dale smirked, clearly enjoying the reaction. Or what? Without another word, Marcus stepped between Olivia and Dale. His calm demeanor remained, but his eyes carried a warning. He gently but firmly removed Dale's hand from Olivia's arm. "I said, don't touch her." The air grew tense as the other bikers began circling, their postures aggressive. Dale staggered back, feigning offense. "What, you think you're some kind of tough guy? Let's see how tough you are when it's 6 against 1. Ella whimpered, clutching Olivia tightly. Olivia's voice wavered as she tried to reassure her daughter. "It's okay, baby. Daddy's got this." Marcus didn't respond to Dale's taunts. He was focused, his training kicking in as he calculated the best way to protect his family. "Leave now, and no one gets hurt," Marcus said, his voice low and controlled. The bikers laughed, emboldened by their numbers. Dale took a step closer. "You're in our town, pal. You don't tell us what to do." Marcus exhaled slowly, his stance steady as the situation escalated. The first swing came from Dale, a wild punch aimed at Marcus's face. Marcus sidestepped effortlessly, his years of training allowing him to anticipate the move. With precision, he deflected the attack and pushed Dale back, sending him stumbling into another biker. The chaos erupted in an instant. The other bikers lunged forward, their movements uncoordinated but aggressive. Marcus positioned himself between them and his family, his body a shield for Olivia and Ella. "Stay behind me," he ordered, his voice calm but commanding. One biker swung a metal chain, aiming for Marcus's midsection. Marcus ducked, grabbing the chain mid-swing and yanking it away. The biker yelped as he lost his balance, falling to the ground. Another biker charged, wielding a beer bottle as a weapon. Marcus sidestepped again, delivering a precise strike to the man's wrist, forcing him to drop the bottle. With a quick maneuver, Marcus disarmed him and sent him sprawling. The fight was brutal, but calculated. Marcus used his training to disable his attackers without excessive force. His movements were fluid, each action deliberate. He avoided unnecessary harm, but he made it clear he wouldn't back down. Olivia held Ella tightly, her heart pounding, as she watched Marcus fend off the bikers. She whispered soothing words to her daughter, though her own fear was evident. "Daddy's okay," she murmured. "He's protecting us." Ella buried her face in Olivia's coat, trembling. Dale, now furious, picked up a wooden plank and charged at Marcus. This time, Marcus met him head-on, grabbing the plank and snapping it in two. Dale stumbled back, winded but still defiant. "You think you're better than us?" Dale spat, his words slurred. "No," Marcus replied evenly. "I'm just trying to protect my family." By now, a small crowd had gathered, drawn by the commotion. Some had their phones out, recording the fight. Among them was a young woman named Karen Chen, who watched intently, her camera capturing every moment. Sirens wailed in the distance, signaling the arrival of law enforcement. The bikers, sensing the tide turning against them, began shouting over one another. "He attacked us," one of them yelled, clutching his arm. "We were just minding our own business." Marcus stood tall, his breathing steady despite the exertion. The bikers were on the ground, groaning and clutching various injuries, but none seriously hurt. The police cars screeched to a halt, and officers emerged with their weapons drawn. "Hands in the air," one officer shouted. Marcus complied immediately, raising his hands. His voice was calm but firm. "I was defending my family." Olivia stepped forward, her voice shaking. "They attacked us. My husband was protecting us." But the officers seemed more inclined to listen to the bikers, who were already spinning a false narrative. Dale, clutching his ribs, pointed at Marcus. He went crazy. "We were just talking, and he started throwing punches." Ella's cries pierced the air as she clung to her mother. "Don't take Daddy," she sobbed. Despite Olivia's protests, the officers moved to handcuff Marcus. "Please," she begged. "He didn't do anything wrong." Marcus locked eyes with Olivia, his expression one of calm reassurance. "It's okay," he said softly. "Stay with Ella. I'll be fine." As the officers led Marcus away, Karen stepped forward, holding up her phone. "Wait," she called out. "I have everything on video. He didn't start this. They did." The officers hesitated, glancing at Karen's phone. The crowd murmured, emboldened by her intervention. "You need to see this," Karen insisted, her voice steady despite the tension. "You're arresting the wrong person." The officers exchanged uneasy looks, the situation growing more complicated by the second. As the patrol car door opened, Marcus's broad shoulders sagged under the weight of the injustice unfolding before his family. His calm demeanor, honed by years of military service, remained intact, but the betrayal stung. The officers guided him toward the car, handcuffs biting into his wrists. "Don't arrest my dad," Ella's voice rang out, piercing through the chaos. Her small frame trembled as she broke free from Olivia's grasp and ran toward Marcus. Tears streamed down her cheeks, her voice rising in desperation. "Please, don't take him." The scene froze for a moment as the crowd, now significantly larger, turned their attention to the crying child. Even the officers hesitated, their grip on Marcus slackening slightly. Olivia rushed forward, scooping Ella into her arms. "It's okay, baby," she whispered, though her own voice cracked with fear. "Daddy's going to be okay." Karen Chen stepped forward, her phone gripped tightly in her hand. "Wait!" she shouted, her voice cutting through the tension. She pushed past a few onlookers, her eyes blazing with determination. "I have proof he didn't do anything wrong. You need to see this." The officer closest to her raised a hand, his expression skeptical. "Ma'am, please step back." "No," Karen's voice was firm, unwavering. "I recorded the whole thing. He was protecting his family. Those bikers started it." She thrust her phone toward the officer, her thumb hovering over the play button. You can't take him without looking at this first. The officer exchanged a glance with his partner, who nodded reluctantly. Fine, he said, motioning for Karen to show the footage. Karen pressed play, her hands steady despite the tension in the air. The video captured everything: Dale's crude comments, his unwanted grab at Olivia, and Marcus's calm but firm intervention. It showed Marcus fighting only when the bikers attacked, each move deliberate and controlled. As the officers watched, the murmurs in the crowd grew louder. See, Karen said, her voice tinged with frustration. He didn't attack them. They attacked him. The lead officer straightened, his expression shifting from doubt to unease. He stepped away to confer with his partner. Meanwhile, Dale, still slouched against a patrol car, snarled, "That video doesn't prove anything. He's still a thug." Karen turned to face him, her voice cutting. "The only thug here is you." One officer approached Marcus, his tone hesitant. "We're going to release you, sir. We've reviewed the evidence." He fumbled for the key to Marcus's handcuffs, avoiding eye contact. Ella's sobs turned to sniffles as she watched the cuffs fall away from her father's wrists. She wriggled out of Olivia's arms and ran to Marcus, clinging to his leg. "Daddy!" she cried. Marcus knelt, his large hands cradling her small face. "I'm here, sweetheart," he said softly. "I'm not going anywhere." As Marcus rose, Olivia joined them, her eyes shining with a mixture of relief and lingering anger. She wrapped her arms around him tightly, whispering, "Thank God." The officers turned their attention to Dale and his crew, who were now handcuffed and being loaded into patrol cars. "You're being arrested for assault and inciting violence," one officer informed them. Dale spat on the ground, his bravado fading. "This isn't over," he muttered, glaring at Marcus. Karen stayed near the Hayes family, her phone still in hand. "I'm so sorry this happened to you," she said, her voice gentle now. "I couldn't just stand by and let them do this." Marcus extended a hand, his grip firm but warm. "Thank you," he said. "You didn't have to step in, but you did. That means a lot." The crowd began to disperse, some lingering to offer words of support. One elderly man approached, his cane tapping against the pavement. "You're a good man," he said to Marcus, his voice heavy with emotion. "We need more people like you." As the last of the patrol cars pulled away, the Hayes family stood together, the warmth of their embrace a stark contrast to the cold December air. The sound of a car door closing signaled the arrival of the police captain, a tall, distinguished man with salt and pepper hair. His badge glinted under the festive lights as he strode toward the scene, his expression grave. "Captain Daniels," one of the officers began, "we've resolved the situation. Marcus Hayes was defending his family. The bikers have been arrested." Daniels' gaze shifted to Marcus, his brow furrowing. "Hayes?" he repeated, as if recognizing the name. He stepped forward, extending a hand. "Marcus Hayes, the decorated veteran?" Marcus hesitated before shaking the captain's hand. "That's me," he said evenly. Daniel's demeanor softened. "I've read about your service. You're a hero." He glanced at the officers, his expression stern. "And you almost arrested him?" The officers looked away, their discomfort palpable. Daniels turned back to Marcus. "I deeply apologize for what happened tonight. You and your family didn't deserve this." Marcus nodded, his face unreadable. "Apologies are fine, Captain, but actions speak louder than words." Daniel straightened, his tone resolute. "Those men will face justice. I'll personally ensure this is handled properly." As Daniels spoke, community members began approaching the Hayes family, their faces reflecting a mix of admiration and shame. A middle-aged woman with a kind smile offered Olivia a cup of hot cocoa. "I saw the whole thing," she said. "You handled it with such grace." A young man, holding his toddler son, added, "You set an example for all of us." "Thank you," Marcus accepted their words with quiet humility, his focus on comforting Olivia and Ella. He knelt to meet Ella's gaze, brushing her curls out of her tear-streaked face. "Are you okay, baby girl?" Ella nodded, her lip trembling. "I was scared, Daddy. I didn't want them to take you." Marcus's voice was gentle but firm. "I'll always protect you. Always." Olivia placed a hand on his shoulder, her eyes brimming with gratitude. You kept us safe, Marcus. You always do. As the family stood together, the festival lights seemed to shine a little brighter. Despite the evening's turmoil, they resolved to continue their Christmas celebration. The towering Christmas tree loomed ahead, its star casting a soft glow over the crowd. Marcus lifted Ella onto his shoulders, her laughter ringing out as she reached toward the glittering lights. Olivia snapped a photo, capturing the moment of joy amidst the chaos. Later, as they strolled through the park, Marcus reflected on the night's events. The confrontation had been unsettling, but it also reinforced his belief in standing firm against prejudice and injustice. When they reached their car, Karen approached one last time. I'm going to share the video, she said. People need to see what happened. Maybe it'll make a difference. Marcus gave her a small smile. Thank you, Karen. Maybe it will. As they drove home, Ella dozed off in the back seat, her head resting on Olivia's lap. Olivia reached over, her fingers intertwining with Marcus's. You're our rock, she whispered. Marcus glanced at her, his heart full. And you're mine. The Hayes family had faced darkness that night, but they emerged stronger, their bond unshaken. The Christmas lights continued to twinkle, a symbol of hope and resilience in the face of adversity. Thank you for joining us on this journey of resilience, accountability, and the enduring strength of family. Marcus's story reminds us that even in the face of prejudice, love, and courage can shine through, sparking change in ways we never expect. If this story resonated with you, please leave a comment and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss another story that challenges and inspires. And before you go, let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always wonderful to see how far our stories reach. Thank you for being a part of the Hopeful Horizon community. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay strong, and remember to always stand up for what's right.